What's good, y'all? Tapping into another episode of Urban Moguls with B. Man, we right here live and direct with Nico from Never Scared. Man, this dude's a go-getter, entrepreneur. Man, he does it all. He knows it all. No, I'm talking shit. He don't know.
Nah, I don't know it all.
But
I appreciate
you. Know what I mean? He a real one. So, go ahead and let people know where you from and what is that you do.
So I'm from Santa Cruz County. My mom's from Santa Cruz. My dad's from Watsonville, but I reside from Watsonville, California. I run a clothing company, Never Scared Lifestyle. And yeah, that's what I do really now. Full time. I'm full time, Never Scared.
Okay.
All day.
So, what was it like growing up in, so you said Watsonville, Santa Cruz, or?
Yeah, so, I mean, Santa Cruz County, bro, I grew up in both spots. My mom, like I said, my mom's from Santa Cruz, my dad's from Watsonville, so I know both places like the back of my hand, but I represent Watsonville, California. It was, the same as any other poverty-stricken place. Coming up, Santa Cruz and Watsonville, people get it kind of twisted, think Santa Cruz is just this surf city.
Yeah.
There's a little tucked away ghetto in there too,
Man, it's just like everywhere, man. There's real people everywhere you go, no matter what.
Right.
So you majority were in Watsonville? Did you go to school out there?
No, it's actually the opposite. So my all school year, I was in Santa Cruz. Yeah. But I get out of school, shoot on the bus, hit Watsonville. On the weekends in Watsonville with my dad. Those are like my school years though. So like elementary, junior high, Santa Cruz. And then high school, just home studies, 1 day a week type shit.
So what school did you go to?
I went to high school?
Well, elementary, junior high.
Elementary, started off at Green Acres in Santa Cruz, Del Mar. Then junior high, I went to Shoreline. High school, I did a little bit of Soquel High, and then after that, I just went to independent studies, like 1 day a week at Oasis. Got
you. So why'd you end up switching schools to Oasis? Is that a continuation school?
It's a continuation school. I was getting a lot of trouble at Soquel, but I just didn't want to be in school really, and I knew my easiest way out was to convince my mom, like, look, I'll go do independent studies, and I'll graduate, and I won't have to go to school every day. I kind of do what I want, and it worked out like that. I ended up graduating kind of early. I graduated at 17 years old, just going to school 1 day a week, had my grandma doing my homework.
Yeah.
Shit, like making it easy for myself.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't into school. I don't like school. College was not in my thoughts. I never, ever was even thinking about that.
Yeah, so how'd you manage to get through the schooling part then,
Just half-assing it. Yeah. I would half-ass it. I just half-assed all that shit. Like I said, I'd have my mom do my homework just to get my shit done and just graduate.
And she didn't make it like a big deal, or she didn't have you sit down with her and be like, well, I'll do it for you, but sit with me so that we go through it together.
Yeah, I mean, she wasn't too strict on me like that. I was like the little black sheep of the family type thing, I kind of did what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
At like 14, 15, I was making music, and I was running around everywhere. Yeah. Everywhere.
Man, before we get into all that other good stuff, a little dirt here and there, I just want to kind of focus on your upbringing and just to let people know, because you're doing big things right now, and I want people to see that they might be going through the same things you went through already.
Absolutely.
And so it's some kind of motivation, inspiration to let them know that they're not the only ones who are going through it and are gonna go through it, and
100%.
You can always come out on top some way, somehow, if you put your mind to it.
100%.
So I want to know what your household was like. Were you the only child, or how was that?
I have an older brother, a little brother, and a stepsister. I wasn't the only child. My household was cool. I got a good step-pops. Stepdad, he came into my life when I was like around 5 years old. My real dad's been in and out of prison most of my life, but we have a close relationship. But my stepdad, he stepped up, took on two badass kids, me and my older brother from my mom. And he is a good ass father. My household was cool, man. I didn't have, it was a broken home just because I didn't have my real dad around.
Yeah.
But it didn't feel like it because I always had my stepdad and he took care of us. Anything we wanted, we got.
Yeah.
You know, we never I never had to struggle to get shit what I wanted when I was a kid.
Yeah.
If I wanted it, you know, and he favored me a little bit too. If I wanted something, he'd be like, "Oh, you want that, Nick? All right, cool, we'll get it for you."
Yeah.
It was like that. You know, it was kind of it was comfortable.
Yeah.
It was comfortable.
No doubt. So, I mean, you had basically two dads. Obviously, you had your biological dad, you had your stepdad.
Right.
And your dad was locked up. What kind of things was your dad feeding you while he was locked up? Like, how was he keeping that connection so strong with you that you remember?
I looked up to him a lot. Bro. He was in the streets running around, and I just looked up to him. You know, I was really fond of that lifestyle anyway. And we would just talk, but he would never feed me. He'd feed me. You know, he wanted me to stay out of trouble. You know, the normal shit a dad would is supposed to tell you.
Yeah, no doubt.
But it's easy to say when you're in prison. You know, you could tell your kid that, but I'm doing another thing. You know, behind his back. Because like I said, my stepdad and my mom were pretty lenient on me. I kind of did whatever I wanted. But he's a good father. You know what I mean? Besides his troubles with the law and getting locked up.
Yeah.
But he would try to keep me on my feet as much as he could.
Yeah, no doubt. So before we get into your stepdad, you know, what is something that stuck with you from your dad while he was locked up that you always kept, or like just a memory that he said over the phone, or, you know, to keep your spirits up?
It wasn't so much what he said over the phone when he was locked up. It's like every time he was out, he was with me. I was with him.
Yeah.
That's how that's why I'm from Watsonville.
Yeah.
Because when my dad's out, I'm in Watsonville, and I love Watsonville. You know, I run around over there. Most of my friends were over there.
Yeah.
And so that's like the one thing. He made me from Watsonville. You know, even though my mom was from Santa Cruz, I went to school out here. He made me be from Watsonville. You know, I had pride in being like, I'm from Watsonville.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it was cool.
You know, not in a negative way, but, you know, the apple don't fall too far from the tree.
No, absolutely
you know
not. Yeah, 100%.
I understand that.
100%.
So with your stepdad, what's some advice that he would give you as a stepdad?
He was the best. Like for a father figure, he was the one to be like, hey, this is real life. Like, bills are real fucking life. You know, you need to grow up, take care of your shit, clean your shit. He'd be honest like that. You know, discipline. Like, because he always had a great job. He took care. You know, we would have fun, bro. My stepdad would take us on trips every year, Vegas, Disneyland, all kinds of shit. So he was more of like the father figure, stern, and like teach me how to be a man.
Yeah.
Because my visions of a man are different than what my biological father's. You know, the path he took. Not saying what his visions are, but the path he took. Now my visions of a man and what my stepfather's visions of a man were, what he was trying to instill in me, were two separate worlds.
But it makes sense now that
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. So, is there anything that he said or any advice that you were able to apply now that you're older?
My stepdad.
Yeah.
Everything, bro. Just the way I approach just life, you know, like stay on top of shit. I mean, obviously, you know, you mess up in life, and you don't do exactly what he tried to teach you, but you grow into learning that this is what it is. This is what he was preparing me for. So it was like more like, hey, you got to pay your bills. You need to get a job. You need to do that. You know, the basic shit. And then after that, you know, once I became a little bit older and found my own way, things changed. Those rules change in general in the world now for everyone. I wouldn't even give, if I had a son, I wouldn't give him the same advice my stepdad gave me, even though his advice was amazing for the time being of how shit worked. But now having the knowledge I know, I would never even give my son the same advice. I'd approach it in a different way.
And why is that? Is that because you have different kind of morals, or you see life differently? Trial and
error. Thinking like, hey, you need to get a job, you need to pay these bills. You have to have a job to pay your bills.
Yeah.
It's not like that. Go to college, get a degree. Like, that's not, to me. You know, I can't speak for everybody, but that's not factual in life. You don't need a 9-to-5 to pay your bills.
Yeah.
You don't need to go to college to be somebody.
Yeah.
It's just not. It's not really. You know what? Facts. That's facts. It's not the. And it's not even a smart move right now to go to college and get a degree. You put yourself in debt. You know. But these are things that our parents were instilled in their mind for generations. And I'm just here to break the fucking cycle.
Yeah, no doubt.
You know what I mean?
I mean, that comes with the long of, you know, what we're talking about is like not needing to go to school and stuff like that. because at the end of the day, everybody has the different definition of happiness in life, right? And
Go ahead.
you know, so on and so forth. This is what I'm saying. Like, your happiness and your beliefs was, well, I don't like school, right?
Right.
But within yourself, you're a go-getter, you're an entrepreneur, so you knew some way, somehow that whatever it was that you were doing that was self-employment was your happiness and your way of making the freedom that you have today.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and I also believe there's like scientific facts behind not going to college, regardless of happiness or not. You know, the purpose, like my purpose was different, not my happiness. I don't really look for happiness when you, not to get off subject, but when you search for happiness, that's a high vibration in life to be happy. And with high vibrations in life, you have to come down from it. Anything that goes up must come down, a simple way to put it. So I don't search for happiness, I search for a baseline of existence and being on a track to going forward to my goals. So I don't search for happiness, but if people are searching for happiness, then yeah, that's what they shoot for. Those are their goals. Yeah. But I don't search for that. So I just look for the baseline of my purpose and my goals on what's next for me, and that makes me happy, quote unquote.
Yeah, no doubt. So what kind of adversity were you faced with as a teen? You know, because like you said, you were back and forth. When your dad was out, you were in Watsonville. Yeah. But for the other time, you were in Santa Cruz. So what kind of adversity were you facing when you were jumping back and forth?
Adversity is a strong word. I wouldn't say I faced too much adversity. More of like situations I put myself in, you know what I mean? Then you face hard times because you chose to do some shit you shouldn't be doing. Yeah. So those types of shit, growing up in the streets with your friends, running around, getting in trouble, being a part of something, you know what I mean? Yeah. That would be an adversity, but it was more of a situation I put myself in, you know? Yeah. Yeah.
And so how were you able to get past that or see through that? Because, you know, as teens, you know, I mean, everybody's been a teenager at some point, and we're all hard-headed at some point where we're like, we know everything. The parent doesn't know shit about what the fuck they're talking about. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I'm assuming at some point in your
I didn't realize none of that in my teens, bro. It took me till like 5 years ago to be like, hey, stop the bullshit. That's bullshit. Yeah. Knowing my goals helped me see through the bullshit. But I had to come up with my goals before I could even see through the bullshit. Yeah. So it took me a long time. I'm only 30 now. I want to say like 5 years ago, and then even like 2 years ago before I even could comprehend it enough to put it into action. You know what I mean? Yeah. It took a long time, a really long time.
Yeah, I mean, it's like that a lot for a lot of people. You know, school of hard knocks, right?
Yeah.
So, what kind of hobbies were you into as a teen? Like when you weren't with your dad or when you weren't with your mom, what was it that you were into?
I like
sports, music.
Yeah,
art?
I did like when I was at Soquel High freshman year, play football. Yeah. Art. I've always drew my entire life. Tattooing. I used to make music. Like that shit was cool for me when I was like in my teenage years. Okay. Running the streets. Yeah. Having fun.
A couple different things. Right?
Yeah, a lot. I had a lot.
So out of those things, the first thing I'm gonna ask is how old were you when you started tattooing, and you know, how did you come about that? Like drawing and all that stuff?
Drawing, I always drew. Ever since I was a little kid, I love drawing. I used to tag. Me and all my cousins, you know, we used to run the streets tagging. Yeah. I started tattooing. My dad came home from prison one time. He came home from prison a lot of times, but I started tattooing when he came home from prison one time and showed me how to make a homemade gun, and it was on. Yeah. It was on. I made a homemade gun. I tattooed a couple of the homies, and then bought a real gun. Thought I was a tattoo artist. And I mean, as you know, and I at one point I thought that was, I'm gonna be a tattoo artist for the rest of my life. Like this is the shit. You know, and I got decent enough to where, like, you know what I mean? Like I was tattooing people that were like, hell yeah, Nico, I want to tat. Yeah. But then that washed out too, just not knowing who I was yet. You know what I mean?
How old were you when you tried tattooing?
From like 14 to 21, maybe 20. Yeah. Yeah.
So, besides the tattooing, What about the rapping? You said you were.
Yeah, I just
rapping.
love music. Even when I was a little kid, you know, I knew all the lyrics to everything. I know all the lyrics to everything
Yeah.
still. So it's like, that shit just came natural, rapping.
Yeah.
It came natural to me.
What influenced you though? Like
Too short.
Too Short?
Life is too short.
Yeah. Life is
Too short. The whole album, like,
Yeah.
all that shit influenced me. I used to write I would listen to the songs and I knew them by heart so much, I would write them down word for word.
Yeah.
And I would know them by heart. A little kid, bro, like 10 years old, you know, I knew them by heart and I would write them down in a notebook.
Yeah.
And just so I had them and I knew them and I would recite them over and over. And then eventually it came to like, I don't know who got me, somebody. My boy James West, I used to look up to him. He was one of my friend's friends, and he was rapping.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can do that shit. These fools suck. You know what I mean? Like, and yeah, I ended up doing it, and I was, you know, I would like to say I was good at it. Yeah. And I still love music, and I wish my visions today had that in a part of it. Yeah. But it's just not part of my goals.
Man, I feel like at some point, and I'm not just speaking for people from the hood or the ghetto or whatever, you know what I mean? I'm talking about at some point in the teenage years, if you're really into music, you feel like you can
you're
rap
a rapper
too,
at one
or
point.
You want to try it at some point.
You busted a freestyle on somebody or something. Yeah.
So, did you ever drop any records, or did you ever pick up some kind of buzz?
Yeah.
What rap group did you have?
We had CID, Consider It Done. It was me. It was a bunch of us. It ended up being a bunch of us.
Yeah.
And
so Consider It Done?
Yeah, CID, Consider It Done. I came up with it. Now that I'm thinking about it, I even LLC'd it back in the day. Wow. Not even knowing what I was doing, but I knew I had to do that. Like, this is my shit. I gotta make sure it's mine.
Yeah, yeah.
And my mom kind of was like, "Oh shit, like yeah, we should do it." I opened up for like, you know, the whole Thiz movement. I went on tour with them, opened up for them. We had a little buzz.
Yeah.
But I didn't know what I was doing. Not business-wise. It was more fun. We were partying. I was fucked up. We were fucked up the whole time. Wild. Yeah, we didn't care. We just wanted to be on stage, like
gigging and everything.
Yeah, so it wasn't like a business aspect of it. It was just making music and being able to be out there. Like, you know, the scene was cooler than the purpose behind making the music.
So did you catch like any, I wouldn't say like notoriety from anybody from Thiz Nation? Like, did you meet up with anybody, or did you see anybody, or did he come through?
I got songs with all the Crest Creepers, like Boss Hog, Shiggity.
What about J Diggs?
We used to roll around with them. Yeah. You know, we used to run around with them.
Doing moving.
Yeah, we used to roll around with them everywhere, Fresno. But yeah, we used to be pretty close to them and do music with them. It was fun, man. We used to run around. But that fell off too with just not being mature enough to know the business aspect of things. Those guys were making money. Yeah. You know, those dudes were doing it. And we weren't. So that fell off too. And then like, there's a lot that goes into that. You know what I mean? But I didn't take it serious. Yeah. At all.
But everybody was on the same hype as you, where they weren't taking too serious. They were just in it for the meantime and partying and all that stuff.
Bro, Thiz Nation was the biggest thing out.
Oh yeah.
And we were
the early 2000s.
And we were able to like know them, have them at our houses, make music in their studios, and be around them, or have them in our studio.
I believe back in the day, I think I was in junior high, and I seen a picture of you in high school with J Diggs outside of someone's house, or I don't remember.
It was my house. He pulled up to pick us up to go to Fresno.
Where at? In Watsonville?
No, in Santa Cruz. Okay. Soquel.
Okay.
Right by Soquel High when I used to live there. He pulled up to pick us up, and they had a show out in Fresno. And my boy Country was really close with them. That's how we were so close, because he's older. We were young. I was like 14, 15. But my boy Country, he connected us with them, and we'd go even if we weren't performing, we were like, hey, we're gonna pull up to the show with you guys.
That's right.
And it was cool. It was a cool little run. Yeah. If I was smart, I'd have made a lot of money off of it.
Yeah, but you feel like you could reach out to them still, or do you have any contact with any of them?
Nah. I don't have any contact with any of them. I'm on a different page in my life, so I'm not even on that lane to reach out to somebody about anything like that.
Yeah, no doubt.
You know what I mean?
No doubt. Well, that's some good shit, bro.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. That was dope.